And now it's time for us to hear from our listeners in a segment called Streets is Asking. This is where we'll answer any and all questions from members of our 7 p.m. family. This week, we have a question from Barf.
Barf.
That's a crazy name.
Okay, Barf. Right.
And I've heard some crazy names.
First of all, Barf, before I say anything, let's see what Barf got to say.
What's good, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn crew? I'm Barf here, super big fan of the show. Been watching since Melo was rapping Jada Keys' verse on Throwback. Yes, so we unofficial family. I'm like the cousin that never come on the show. But to my question is, I love NBA basketball. I know y'all do. But I wonder, every time I go online, I feel like it's being talked about in a negative light. How the game isn't like it is before, or they're shooting too many threes, or this isn't what I grew up on, rather than embracing the young stars like Anthony Edwards, SGA, Tatum. How can we get the discourse back to just embracing the players we see now, and where did we go wrong?
Now, that was a great question, Barfia. It's twofold. All the niggas gotta stop hating, for one.
Facts.
Like let's just start with that. Like we gotta stop hating. We have to just accept the era that we came up in and played, right? Respect the era that we grew up on, right? Respect the game that we grew up on. Respect the players we grew up on. Because of I'm stuck in my era and how I was taught the game and how I learned the game and what I had to go through personally. I'm so, not me personally, but I'm so stuck on what I had to go through that everything else is fool's gold. That shit is nothing. So now you got these younger guys and it happens, the cycle happens. I was saying it when I came in, niggas was saying shit about us. Before the 90s niggas came in, niggas was saying shit about them. 2000, it's very repetitive. We gotta leave this generation alone. Like this new game of basketball, we gotta leave it alone. We're gonna talk about it because we played the game, we gave it our all, and we did it at the highest level. So we can speak on it as professional basketball players who've been in the game for almost 2 decades out of 75 years. Y'all can speak on it from a fan standpoint. But now it just gets so competitive on choosing a side. I can't like MJ no more. I gotta like LeBron. I can't like Kobe. It's always, if I mention Kobe, I gotta mention LeBron. I can't mention them two in the same conversation. I can't mention Jordan and LeBron and say I like both of those guys.
You know why, though?
You can't do that.
It's the pancakes and waffles tweet.
But it's sad though. But it's also sad though. It's sad.
It is.
It's also sad because as competitors, like, we know who we played against, and we only can talk about what influenced us. That's why I ain't mad when my son said, "Oh, my favorite player is Paul George." Like, he influenced him. You get what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that. Guys influence me. Guys influence him. We gotta support these little niggas today, man. We gotta get out of that popping shit to them and talk, "Oh, they just doing this and they doing that." That's what the job want. That's what my boss asking me to do. Go out there and shoot 63s. Okay, boss. All right, cool. I got you. I'm going to go shoot 63s.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm paying you $350 million. I need you to shoot 63s as a team. All right, coach. Go. All right. This is what we're going to do.
Analytics says.
Analytics says this works. So I think it's media, from a high level, media started that. Who's the GOAT? Who's better? Who's this? Who's that? And because these platforms and people have opportunities to speak on it, and it's going viral, and people, it's a debate all the time. So because of that, you can't appreciate. We losing appreciation so much to the point where it's like, yo, the 90s, for them to say the 90s era is over, like no more talk about the 90s
done
era.
With the 90s.
We done with the 90s. Like that means we're losing something. There's a disconnect in that. We should never.
But I understand where that statement comes from, though.
Like,
that statement comes from. That's the reverse effect of being told all the time, like, what you're watching or what you're enjoying ain't shit, because in the 90s, it was so much this was better. Yeah. Where, after a while, if you hear that your whole life, you're like, man, fuck the 90s.
But the game, we talking about the essence of the game.
Even with the game, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying I can understand where that mode of thinking comes from.
I think what we like to clarify it, I don't think, like, when we say, like, oh, it's this now, we ain't talking about, like, the plastic man nicknames and the microwave and tiny and all them. Like that's, we passed that. And I think the game has transcended from that in a positive way. Mm-hmm. But like what we talk about all the time on the show is like when we came up, it was like more about the art of actually playing basketball. It was, we took advantage of mismatches. We had to take pride in possessions, every one. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that's the tough part. Like I'm not saying I'm one of them angry men, but I understand when people are saying, well, it's different now. Because it is different. Like you said, like, the basketball has grown, has evolved, and that's where it is now. But everything comes around because, it's a copycat league, like you always say. It all depends on what wins and how they do. And if another team feel like they can do that to match up with this team, it's going to change, just like it has. Like, you got people like Shaq that changed the league. You got people like Steph that changed the league. Michael Jordan that changed the league. And some of it for the better and some of it hasn't been. But, one thing that's going to happen is, people are competitive. This is a competitive league. And people want to find different ways to win. And just like Boston, we talk about them, how they're not like the Golden States or, the teams that's won before. They're different. And I think that's one of the things they continue to be successful at that. The league will change right behind them. You know what I mean?
The other issue is it's been so much of guys getting outside the league after they retire, getting on the microphones, talking shit about the players, not analyzing the game, taking shots personally at players. So now it's like, nah, I ain't fucking with him.
Yeah, that's not.
I ain't fucking with him.
That's not what it's for.
So now you, as an athlete, as a basketball player, you start to protect yourself. You know what? I ain't talking to these niggas. I ain't talking to that media. That's what happens. So now you become separated from the media. We don't have no dialogue no more. So now you're going to go write whatever the fuck you want to say.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no line of honor anymore, of good journalism. I mean, there's good journalists out there. Journalism is still alive, but it ain't no honor no more behind it of writing the right things. Like, I can write something about you. I can criticize you. I ain't got to talk shit about you. Like, I'm just going to criticize the game. I'm going to talk about what you didn't do. And I think as players, when we get out the game, we think that's the first thing that we're supposed to do, that we just got to talk bad about another player. Like, let's start getting back to talking the game. Nowadays, this younger generation is getting further and further and further away to where as though it's their shit. They believe like this is our shit. Y'all hating on us. We ain't fucking with y'all. We got the momentum. And the one thing they go back to is y'all mad because y'all ain't got the bread.
Right.
That's what it comes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A part of that is that too. That's why you hear like, man, why they pay him $350 million? It's always a debate about the salary. For one, you gotta pay these niggas. Like, you can't get around paying players no more. So that the money conversation should be dead, for one, because that's where a lot of discrepancies come in at. A lot of debates. He shouldn't get paid that. Why does team pay him that? Well, look at his averages. Like, it's a lot of shit that goes on when you start talking about money. Money confuses and clouds every single thing that's in it. So we gotta embrace this younger generation, bro. Like, we gotta really start fucking with them, and to a point, it was an opportunity to kind of mend that gap a little bit when Bron's situation in All-Star Weekend. You get what I'm saying? Of giving that spot, or like bringing a young nigga along with him. Right. So again, they looking at that. I'm sure they looking at that like, man, he could have did that. Why he ain't do that? So now that conversation is happening with you, your peers, your family, your friends, you outside in the club is happening. Now that narrative just starts to.
You talking about him not playing?
Yeah, I'm just using that. No, him not giving a spot to a younger player.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'm just using that as an example. Right. So we wonder why these young niggas feel like we don't support them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they out there on their own, to be honest with you. Who they got, like, who they have?
Well, you kind of media now, but you're going to be real media next year. You know what I mean? Doing the NBC stuff. So a lot of the narratives that you want to help, change, especially when it comes to generations or even relations between media and the athletes. Like, you and, a lot of what the NBA and NBC or Amazon is going to look like has like a lot of responsibility of being like, yo,
that's a fact.
We got to be able to talk about the game in a way that isn't disrespectful to the past.
Yeah, like, I want to talk about your mindset. I want to talk about Rudy going into a big time game. You know, what was he thinking? What was Rudy thinking when he passed up that shot right there just to go get a back?
I wasn't thinking.
Like that's how I think that's what people want to hear. They want, you know, they still want to hear the true essence of the game being broke down from a player's mindset and a player's standpoint. So that I think that's what I would be bringing to them.
Damn, dog.
I know we got deep, but you know.
No, that was good.
That shit is real. Like these young guys really truly feel like niggas don't fuck with them. Like, and it's bad and it's sad. And the results that we get from that is something like All-Star Weekend. You get what I'm saying? Like it's you see the disconnect when everybody gets together.
Shout out to Barfield for that one, man.
That was a great question, Barf.